It's important here in Los Angeles to understand our biggest threats as the earthquakes, of course losing your job, and flooding out. A few weeks ago we had these heavy rains here, and I don't know if you remember how high the LA River got. Pretty up there. If it had kept raining so heavy, I'd say for maybe another 3 days, which is very possible to happen. It's very possible and likely that that could happen one day. The Los Angeles sewage systems and irrigation systems just aren't geared to handle that much water. The rains, come down from the mountains in high volume, and they drain all the way out here. So I think it'd be wise to invest in a pontoon, which they're not very expensive. Pontoon, canoe, a boat. You can look into maybe making a boat of your own for you and your family. So know how many people you're living with, and where it is you're gonna go once you get out there and you're rowing about. Then of course with something like that, with heavy flooding and things like that, there's going to be bodies floating around, and that water is going to have disease in it. So you got to consider all those things as well. I would advise very much to get out of LA, especially if your career is one where you're able to move around. It'd be wise to go. That's definitely what me and mine are looking to do, is, leave Los Angeles altogether. It's just way too many people, and it seems big, but in a very small amount of space, and that can be very dangerous. You need to understand, you need to understand that only 5% of Americans are actually prepared for these types of situations. And then that kind of goes into your thinking, guys. It's important that we change our thinking. We live in a very comfortable, relaxing society until shit hits the fan in some way. Mass shootings, they're everywhere now, guys. Radical Islamists, they're doing their thing. Crazy people, that have lost their marbles, they're doing their thing, going around shooting up schools. So it'd also be wise, in addition to getting that boat, is making sure that you've got medical supplies, EMT kits, that you get the knowledge and training that you need, trauma kits, learn how to stop heavy bleeding, take an EMT course, in addition to CPR and first aid. I mean, why not? CPR and first aid is easy. Go out there, get that EMT, get some knowledge, get some training. Your thinking, back to thinking, is the reality is people are the biggest threats, and you have to be prepared for your family to take a life. And it's something that people just don't talk about enough. And in addition to that is knowing the human body and the anatomy and the way it all works. I mean, it must be such a difficult act to perform. I mean, I'm sure when it comes down to it, that especially somebody that you love, that you're trying to protect, it may be easy for some, maybe harder for others. And it's important that you run through these things in your mind. Don't dwell on them and harp on them and be afraid of them. But the more that you introduce the unknown into your mind, the more comfortable and settled that your person inside can be when the situation presents itself. It's just like they say, most battles are won in the mind. You've got to go through everything in your mind first. Don't dwell, don't be afraid, don't have a panic attack over the situations. But just understand the reality and think rationally and think logically. Okay, go out there and read some books, on human psychology. Just get yourself ready mentally, especially for things like that. especially when it comes to keeping your family safe and you're the man in the house. Understand that I'm not advocating or supporting acts of violence. All I am promoting and relaying to you is mental preparedness, situational awareness. That goes into situational awareness, going out of restaurants and identifying exits, things like that. It's all for the safety of your family. That's all it is. And at first it is a little difficult, guys, but the more that you train your mind to thinking this way, the easier it becomes. It becomes a lot easier. You become a lot less stressed out about it. You know, it's just all around mental preparedness is good. It's good to think about. That's why I made this video. You know, if you can, really invest in and think about getting out of the major cities. You know, it doesn't take much to just up and go.